overarching, what I truly believe is that the reason that people quit taking care of themselves is because it's an all or nothing. And that's why it doesn't work. It's not sustainable. Welcome to the Kery Barrett Show. I'm your host, obviously, Kery Barrett. Thank you for being here, whether you are listening or watching. We appreciate it. I'm excited to introduce you to our guest today. This is Rachel Amarante. She's a key. Did I say that right? Yeah. She literally just asked you right before the show started. And then I had a brain fart. That's all fine. I think it's fine. Let's keep going. Rachel's a keynote speaker. She is a wellness coach. Rachel, it's great to have you with us. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm actually shocked we actually pressed record. Are you? Since we just went chatting away, right? Mostly about how much our kids swear. Right. Yes, we were. Yep. And let's be honest, the conversation started with how much we swear too. Right. And we just translated everything we do down to our children, which is actually, good because that's what we do. So, at least they're learning something from us. So take a quick second, if you don't mind, and give the audience a few more details about yourself. Yes, I'm Rachel. Well, I have 4 young boys at home. I'm a Midwest mom, keynote speaker, and wellness coach. I train high performers on how to take care of themselves because I think from my own experience and in our world, we've lost sight of what it means to work really hard for something that we want and what it means to actually be able to perhaps have some balance in our work and our lives and win in those places. So I really go in and I do not do self-care. I do not believe that we can bubble bath our way to our goals. I believe that taking care of yourself is work, but it is work that is worth it. And it is work that you can do as a mother, a father, a business owner, a CEO, a janitor, a teacher. I don't care. So I try to teach tiny habits to people that can be really sustainable. And it's been really fun and a crazy journey. So yeah, that's awesome. And I do want to jump into what self-care is, what it's not, some of the action steps that you teach. But before we get to that, I would love to know sort of how you got to where you are now, sort of what that transition was, because I know as for any entrepreneur or business owner, there are ups and downs. Very often they are professional and personal combined. So sort of walk us through how you got from, where you were to where you are now, which is a big question, I realize. Yeah. I'm happy to tell that story. It's actually, I love hearing that story from other people too, because I think when I started speaking and really started this work, I remember saying to myself, I will never stand on top of a mountain and look down on everyone else and pretend I have it all together. I will never do that again. And I think that's what sort of that mentality kind of got me to be able to be successful in what I'm doing now is I've completely released the idea of a mountaintop and that it looks perfect up there. If you look close, I think in any of us, and this is sort of my expression, if you look close, it's all held together with chewing gum and silly string. Yeah. And you can either laugh about it or cry about it. And yeah, as long as you've been an entrepreneur or, even working in corporate, there are going to be crazy ups and crazy downs. And so taking care of yourself is the way to balance that and sort of stay grounded. So my story, I built a business with an incredible interior designer friend of mine. It was massively successful. We cranked. We did all the things. Within a year and a half, we went from a $500,000 deficit to $2 million net sales. And it was amazing. And it was an amazing time of my life. And throughout that, I remember as I was sort of getting that feeling of whoa, this is a lot. Whoa, I'm starting to force all my kids to wear matching designer clothing because I wanted it to look perfect. Whoa, I'm getting asked by whether it was media outlet or friends or young women that worked for us, how do you do it all? And I got really good at answering that question. We're all taught to answer it. And I said, it's fine. I don't know. I just figure it out. Everything's fine. It just works itself out. But I really wanted to scream, this is not real. There is a massive shit show that was happening behind me in my household that I didn't want anyone else to see. My kids are great. My marriage was fine, whatever. But my children were starting to implement that perfection, implement that anxiety, that straight, steep ladder climbing belief that there is one road and one only to success. And I loved the work that we did, but I knew in my gut that if I wanted to be the person that I needed to be in this world, and most importantly at the time for my kids, I needed to leave. And it was the hardest thing I ever had to do because it gave me so much fulfillment in my career. It gave me, I have 4 boys, like there's 5 men in my house. Like I needed women. It was an office full of women doing really awesome things. Like that sounds like on paper, that sounds amazing and perfect. And it was for a long time and it checked a lot of those boxes, but I kept getting this pull of this is not right anymore. And that coupled with a devastating loss of a friend and a loss of a relationship and a diagnosis of my husband. And I remember it was right after the holidays. So let's just, play that a little bit.
How long ago is this?
This was 4 years ago, right after the holidays. And, like when moms all like meltdown, right? I was like, oh, this is just my mom after Christmas meltdown. It's totally fine. I don't know. But I remember laying on my bathroom floor, unable to move. I had torn a tendon in my leg. I had shooting pains in my teeth, my IBS, my migraines. So all of this mental stress was had finally said, okay, you're not going to do anything about that? Well, I'm going to show you, lady. And I physically was lost.
Manifested in all these physical ways.
Yes. And that's what happens to us. And it's really, we wait until the physical happens for us to do something about it. And now I teach not to do that. But back then, I remember standing and looking in my mirror and saying, there has to be a better way to do this because there is no way in hell I'm going to teach my boys that this is what a woman looks like. This is what a mother looks like. This is what success looks like. I didn't know where that was going to go, but I told myself I couldn't do anything. I couldn't start a new business. I couldn't join something new for 3 months.
So you gave yourself I'm going to sort of detox, if you will.
Yep. I wintered. I call it it was my wintering time. And I coiled inward and I remembered how to write, something that I loved since I was a little girl. I remembered how to be still. I remembered how to look outside. I did the things that I had to do as a mother and a wife, right? To run my household. But I was grateful for that little bit of time to be for a minute. And from that came this extraordinary business where now I train people how to take care of themselves. I have 10 habits that we go through. And I do that when I keynote and speak to leadership teams. And I do that on a one-on-one basis so that women can learn to take care of themselves, even when they're really busy, even when their plates are full and everything and life,
Has this always been something that's interested you, or was it through the process of that sort of wintering, as you call it, where this emerged? Or did you, was it after that you're like, I don't really still know what's coming next, but this seems how did that all transpire?
I remember sitting in mid-wintering. It also happened to be winter, so it made quite sense for me. But I remember thinking, am I ever going to get out of this? Or maybe I'm just going to be here forever. But then things started to click and I started to be able to listen. One of my habits is learning how to listen to our instincts, the tiny ones. And then when you learn to listen to the tiny instincts every day, that grows. So you can listen without fear, worry, anxiety. And I've always loved writing. I've always loved leading. I've always loved speaking. I was the first one to raise my hand in school. I am a communications major. It's just what feels really natural to me. And the wellness space has always been something that's been really close to my heart. We have a lot of food allergies in our family. I've worked out in my home for the last 15 years. And that's how I've sustained that part of my health. The food sort of, that part came naturally because I already had to figure it out for, all the humans in my household. And I was sick of getting sick. And so I figured it out. And those are two large pieces in my habits too. What are you feeding yourself every day? That has to do with your mood and your focus and your energy. How are you moving your body every day? Every day. I don't want you going to a hot yoga class where you burn 600 calories on Saturdays. I don't really give a shit about that. I want to know what you're doing on the rest of the days of the week, right? So those things really, really matter. And I started being the proof that you can do that and do all the other things. And then now there's hundreds of women that are seeing that proof that these habits really work. So
are you comfortable diving into the 10 of them?
yes, let's do it. Okay. Well, the first one is fill up, which is your food. And so I walk through obviously depending on the conversation. If I'm a 60-minute keynote speech is a lot different than a 4-week one-on-one, but your food matters and it doesn't have to be perfect. Overarching, what I truly believe is that the reason that people quit taking care of themselves is because it's an all or nothing.
It's binary. It's black or white. I'm either all in or I had a candy bar, so screw it. I'm also going to have 24 donuts or whatever.
Yeah. Yes. And that's why it doesn't work. It's not sustainable. And then what we do, think about that in your brain, what that does for your brain and your mood and what you start to tell yourself. And then what you start to say in the mirror, and that affects your gut health and your hormones. And then your young daughter or your young son is standing next to you at their mirror saying the same things that you are. I mean, I have shivers. I didn't make this shit up. This is just the way it works. So when my kids see me choosing to I have this ground turkey, rosemary, and kale breakfast almost every morning. And they're like, Mom, that's so weird. Why are you not having granola and yogurt like we are? And I'm like, it just doesn't suit my body. It just doesn't suit me. That's all. Because I need to have fucking energy all day long to haul ass after you guys. And that just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. 100%. Yes. By the way, that sounds delicious. Do you offer recipes?
I do have recipes. Yes, I do. All of them. You can have them. I will send you them. Yes. And that's important. And it doesn't have to be, oh my God, if it's not organic, I can't eat it. And if it's not from my garden, I can't eat it. And those things are great. Do them if you can. But also, if you can have a banana instead of a donut for breakfast, you're winning.
Yep. 100%.
Okay. Fill up. The next one is move. Move your body. Like I said, I work out in my home. That started probably out of necessity, out of survival. Our first 3 boys were born in 2.5 years of all 3 of them. And so that's when I stayed home for a few years to figure out. And that was amazing. And I would never take back that time in a million trillion years. We are literally the best adventure travel team ever. And I think it's because we had to survive those years, right? But that's when I started working out at home because I didn't have time or money to go anywhere. And I remember I enlisted my mother because I would strap into a stroller, my double stroller, and then I would make my mom run behind me in a single stroller. And that was the only way I could do it because I got to strap them down. I can't have them running in the house. They need to be tied down. And so I think moving our body, like I said, not just once or twice a week, that's great. Go to a yoga class. I freaking love going with my girlfriends who can go every day. And I meet them once in a while, but it's what you're doing every day. It's the 25 minutes that you lift weights when you are watching your Netflix documentary, whatever. I don't care.
Oh, that's such a good idea. I know these things, but these are such good reminders.
They are. And they're small. They're small. So last night, my 3 big boys, we were watching a Halloween show and I'm like, you know what? I haven't moved my body yet today and I'm really crabby. It's 7:30. The last thing I want to do is work out right now, but I'm going to feel really good. It's exactly what I did. I had 2 out of my 3 boys join me while we watched our show. And it was the best mom-son time ever.
Yeah, I love it. What show did you watch?
They're watching this National Treasure, which is now a series. Yep. And then we also are waiting for Wednesday to come back.
100%. Yeah, we're in the Halloween kick right now too. Coraline, Monster House, etc. Anyway, sorry, diversion.
Hotel Transylvania on repeat. The third habit is to listen. So that's where we really start listening to our gut instinct and learning how to do that. Because I remember learning like, listen to your gut, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I'm like, I don't know how. So someone needs to tell me how to do that because I don't have time to learn all the steps and the history and why. So I really dig into that and allow people to learn as much as they want, or just, Rachel, just tell me what to do, please. And so that is learning to listen to our gut.
Yeah.
The next one is energize. We need to energize our freaking lives again.
Yeah.
I think that for the last few years, when we've all had really full plates, we've given each other a pass and we've given ourselves a pass. And that's great to have empathy. And I have a lot of empathy. However, what we've taken off of our plates are our goals. We didn't take off the fact we had to bring our kids to school or that we had to, fill out our taxes or go to the grocery store. That stuff stayed. What left is our goals, our big dreams, and they haven't gotten back on the plate yet. The only way that we can succeed in our lives is if we keep working for those goals while we are going to the grocery store, essentially. That's what brings us life and energy. I also have a rule. This is the next habit, is to live right now. And I don't have a bucket list. I don't not do things because I have 4 kids. I figure out a way to either go without them or bring them with. And it doesn't have to be huge trips or things like that. But if you want to write a book, why are you waiting until you're 60? Right? If you want to become a yoga instructor, what are you waiting for? We've gotten better as a society, probably from COVID, just because it's sort of oh my God, what if this is it? That we've all started maybe taking those leaps a little bit more. But I try to teach people how to do them every day in their lives. So have that be your first instinct instead of wait, what if, oh my God, what's going to happen? Your first instinct is let's go. Let's see what happens. Let's keep going. Let's do the thing, right? Work better. That's the next one. We need, as a society and as general human beings, to work better. I want outside meetings. I want walking conversations. I want support for when you need to take a couple extra days off because your grandmother died, but and you have trust in yourself and in your people that the job is going to get done. And we can't do that by ourselves. So this is sort of where the community comes in, because the next habit is called share what's good. I'm a firm believer. If you see something good happening in the world, say something about it. Yeah. We are so good at talking about when people are stupid or when the world is shitty.
Yeah, 100%. We have a great negativity bias. It is well tuned.
Yes. And so I'm every time I see a woman, man, old, young, running, and I'm driving because I essentially live in my car. I don't know about you.
100%. It's sort of a glorified pack mule.
It is. Yeah. And I have a good podcast going. I a lot of voice texts happening, whatever. Anyways, anytime I see a runner, my first instinct and what I say to my kids, which is super important, what you are going to say out loud, make sure your kids hear you. If you're doing this work, do it with them, is good for them. Damn. Look at them out there hauling ass, right? And why not roll down the window and yell, good for you?
Yeah, I love it.
We need more of that.
And I have no doubt that they smile and wave and you gave them a little extra boost to finish the rest.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because you never, ever know what's going on in someone else's day and someone's life. And if you can make it just a tiny bit better, why wouldn't you?
100%. We're more than happy to call other people. I love that. And that makes so much sense. And it sort of goes along, if I could piggyback for one quick second, that community, because it's funny, I was watching a show last night that was set in COVID times, quote unquote. And they were talking about your pod. Remember having a pod, a group of people? But we did sort of sequester ourselves for a while and we shut down a lot of that other stuff, definitely in person. And now we're sort of reemerging, we've come out of the chrysalis or the cocoon and we're this new person for better or worse. And reestablishing all of that stuff, but reestablishing it in a new, more sort of intentional and better way.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think that, COVID was what it was, and it was amazing and it was horrible and scary and life-changing, right? I like to look at every situation, good or bad, as, okay, where is the opportunity in that situation? And I think that there are a lot of companies, the companies that I work with, the ones that are even willing to say, yes, let's take 2 days and go through how we can help our teams take care of themselves. That step is huge. I also think that there are a good amount of media outlets that have done a good job of bringing back what's good and, having that reminder for us to see. We just have to decide which ones we're going to follow and which ones we're not.
Which ones we're going to give our energy to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. The number 8 habit is give it your all. So this is personal for me because this is who I am. I give everything 110%. It's just who I am. And I know, and I've learned through a lot of failure and a lot of change in relationships that my all is different than someone else's all. And that's okay. Like, guess what, Rachel? That's okay. And that was something that I had to learn and then in turn be able to teach other people how to appreciate that in their lives. And if they're the one that is giving it their all and it still looks different than somebody else, that's okay. But the point is the habits work in order for a reason. Because by the time you get to these last 3, you know who you are, you know what you want, you know how to do it. Now you have to actually go do the thing. And that is huge. I'm all about taking action. I will never walk in to a room or a situation and talk about a bunch of fluff and walk away. And because that's where we all get lost. And then we go back to eating donuts for breakfast.
Yeah, we don't know how to implement any of it. Yeah.
We forgot how to do it. And I do it too. I'm like, oh my God, I learned that amazing thing, but I don't know how to make it work in my life.
Well, I was going to say, it's funny. I was having this conversation with my husband this morning because I used to work out all the time. And I found that I have slowly but surely been sort of shuddering that like, oh, I have, email, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I asked my husband this morning, I'm like, okay, this is not, what I have set up is not working. I know I need to do it. I hear that everywhere, but I can't figure out how to implement it. Like, so we sat down and we looked at the schedule and we carved out okay, mornings aren't going to work for you because of this, this, and this, even though everybody says that's what you should do. So what works for you? What works for you is between 1 and 2:30. Now you just have to go block that time off. And that is, barring an emergency, that's a non-negotiable. And I just needed somebody to bounce that off of and figure out how to implement this advice into my life. Anyway, that's all I was going to say.
Well, okay. 2 things that I love about what you just said. 1, that you're having that conversation with your partner.
Yeah.
Because that is so huge. You might not always be on the same page. Your workouts are going to look different. Your schedules are going to look different. But to be able to have that person that is this is important to you and us because I want you around until you're 99-ish.
Yep. He says the same thing. Got to take care of yourself, Kerry. You're not doing it.
The second thing that you said that I want to encourage you and myself, because I have to remind myself of this all the time too, and anyone else, is forget about the should. They say, who the hell is they?
The people. Them.
I don't care when you're working out. Just do it. You commit, make it a non-negotiable to yourself in a day to do it. And giving yourself an hour and a half, that's a good long time. I give myself 40 minutes max.
That's smart. See, I probably should do that. Yeah.
Cut it down. I work out for 30 minutes and then I pull myself together so I can get on my next call, go to pickup, go to soccer, go to the board meeting, whatever, right? So give yourself that tiny buffer of 10 minutes, 30 minutes. That's all you need. Just make it consistent. Number 9 is decide to go. So this is, remember, we're in that action taking time. And the hardest thing is the decision to do it. Deciding whatever it is, whether it's your workout, whether it's the food you choose to get out of your fridge, whether it's to make a career move, whether it's to talk to your boss about an idea that you have. The hardest part is deciding.
Wait, when you talk about deciding, is motivation part of that? Or how do you feel about motivation? Because I have mixed feelings about it, but go ahead.
I have mixed feelings about motivation too. Here's what I'm motivated to do every day. I'm motivated to be a better person the day than I was the day before. That's what I'm motivated to do. So am I motivated to work out? No. Am I motivated to eat salads every day? No. Am I motivated to, put a mask on because it'll make my skin happier and drink 1 million gallons of water? No. But I know that if I don't take care of myself on Tuesday, on Thursday, I am not going to be a better person than I was on Tuesday.
Yeah. So you're not waiting for the motivation. You're just deciding to do the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would love to piggyback off that because that's what I was going to go for next is that when we decide to do something, all those little thoughts that happen after, like, oh, but I'm not ready. Oh, but I don't have the workout clothes. Oh, but I'm too old. I'm too tired. Oh, but I just broke my arm. I don't care. Those are just excuses. You already decided. So that is, again, going back to using your gut instinct to help you take that and just go forward. The last habit is called next up. And that really means let's write it down. What are we doing? Because it's my job to hold you as a team, as an individual, as a company accountable for what you just decided to do. So what's going to happen next? What's the year? What's the 6 months? What's the 10 years? Like, I want to know. And so it's really taking people through that, through writing, conversation, and whatever the case might be to get them to keep going.
Right. And sort of like maybe even it sounds a little bit like almost maybe reverse engineering. Like here's where you want to be in 10 years or 5 and then a year and 6 months. And maybe there's even a 3-month goal. And then you're like sort of, okay, here are the steps that you need to take to get to that spot.
That's right. And in every step, there's sort of these 2 pillars or like 2 columns, right? One is really focused on if I'm working with businesses and not individuals, but focused on the business, right? Like here are the steps you're going to do. The second column is those 10 habits because those 10 habits are going to lead into the success of that first column.
I want to ask you a question. Those 10 tips were phenomenal. And I'm going to ask at the end of this, and we'll put it in the show notes, like where people should go to get more information. But I want to ask you before we wrap, because we're coming up on time. You mentioned at the beginning of this, you can't, I think you said bubble bath your way to fixing your problems or to your goals or whatever it is. You are a wellness coach, but you're not really a big fan of the self-care culture. Tell us about what is it?
All right. Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, I think self-care is kind of bullshit in the way that our society has been using it. We have been using self-care as companies and as individuals and within our family units as a way to mask what's really going on. We use it to bring us back to neutral. So for me, my belief is self-care is a basic need. You need a bubble bath once in a while. You need a pedicure. You need a happy hour with your friends. You need a vacation alone. You need to walk through Target without kids at your ankles. Basic needs, right? You need to get your hair done. You need to get your whatever. Base need.
Whatever your sort of, this is what keeps me just functioning.
Like think about your self-care. And I want you to flip that instead of thinking of it as this is going to solve my problems, get me to my goals, make me a better human being, whatever. Like self-care, this is my basic need for me to sustain my current life. Taking care of yourself is work. It's the work we do every day on ourselves to reach our goals, wellness, business, marital, whatever. So that could be going to get your blood drawn, going to the dermatologist,
getting rid of toxic people in your life.
Yes. Oh my God, that's huge and really hard one. Yes, that is taking care of yourself. Yeah. I mean, sitting down and having a conversation with your husband. I don't know the last time I did that, right? It's on my list. That is taking care of yourself, not self-care sometimes. That's not fun sometimes. My rule is that self-care gets us back from drowning and taking care of ourselves helps us to fly. That's the difference.
Self-care is I'm going to bring me back to baseline and then I'm going to do some work to get to this next to fly. And I don't know why I'm trying to put other words to it. You said it perfectly.
Like we have to sort of repeat it back to ourselves a million times in a different way that works for you. Just really quickly, I think that companies have really tried to implement Self-Care Friday or at Mental Health Day. And those are great. Do it. But if you are then having your team come back to an 80-hour work week of poor culture and no purpose and lack of support, you're not doing anything for them on those days.
Mm-hmm. You're just making the doggy paddle maybe a tad slower on those days.
Yeah, exactly. On Monday, they'll be fine, but by Thursday, they will really need that Self-Care Friday again. And it's why are we living in that cycle?
we're not taking the right steps in between those days. It's like when you coach somebody and then if you don't ask them to implement or execute on the lessons, the skills or the knowledge begins to, it fades. It fades quite quickly, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. And like, think about that, what that does to our psyche. When we have learned that or been told so many times that get a pedicure, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Just go have a glass of wine with your girlfriend. It'll all be okay. And we wonder, and it's okay for a minute. And then we wonder why the next day it's still not okay. Again, like think about that, what that does to our mental.
It's not okay. My toes look great. I have a hangover, but the other problems are still there.
My business is still not growing. I still haven't written my book. Yeah, I don't know why.
I could talk to you literally forever. This has been an amazing conversation.
That was so fun.
You rock.
Thank you. I mean, I feel the same. This was so fun.
I mean, I knew you were going to be great because you're a speaker and we've spoken before and we're very much simpatico when it comes to our mindsets and our goals and the way we sort of move in the world. There's a lot of F-bombs, but this is really, truly, it's such a fantastic conversation. I learned so much from just these couple of minutes. So if there is somebody in the audience who's like, my company could use this, or I could use this, where should they go to get more information about you, working with you, et cetera?
Yeah. So my website has most everything. It has press kits and who I work with and things like that. And we can put that in the show notes. It's Rachel-Amarante.com. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I do that a lot through social media or LinkedIn. So you can find me on either of those places. We can put those social links and just DM me and say hi and you like heard and like we can just connect. I love that. Anyways, it doesn't always have to lead to something. If it does, you need some help. I am here for you to do that.
She's awesome, by the way. We met like not all that long ago and you're like, let's make up a list of like places we want to speak and we can trade like great ideas.
Let's do all the work stuff. Like, where are we going to be in 5 years? Okay, let's go. Yep.
Looks great. I love it. So yeah. So listener, viewer, all of that information will be in the show notes, the links, etc. Rachel, it was amazing talking to you. We must have you back.
Yes, it was so fun. I would love it. And I would like to know when you are working out. Let's hold you accountable.
I will. It's not going to happen today. Because I have to go do a last minute shoot in the city with a client today.
What about tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'm in.
Tomorrow you're in. I love it.
I'll shoot you a DM or a text and let you know they're going to happen along with the selfie.
Yes, you will. I love it.
Rachel, thank you so much. You're awesome.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.